welcome. This is the White Dress Project virtual town hall. It is our 10th anniversary. For those of you that are new to the White Dress Project, don't worry, by the end of this hour or so, you will be like family, trust me. And for those of you who've been with us for our entire 10 years or any part of it, we are so happy to have you here tonight. We are so excited. This is huge. This is so huge. We've done amazing work. We are passionate about women's health. We're passionate about the work that we do. We want to make sure that any woman that is experiencing fibroids, traveling through that journey, knows that they have a home, that they have family, that they have a supportive sisterhood right here to hold their hand and walk them through this entire journey. So we are so excited about tonight, what we have in store for tonight, and we're so happy that you're here with us this evening. So I'm going to quickly get out of the way because we got to start this program. We have to start this program, guys. And so tonight, what you can expect is, of course, to hear from our amazing founder who started this entire vision, this entire movement, the White Dress Project. You'll hear a little bit later from our founder, Tanika Valbrun. We're also going to have patient advocates speak, which they are the backbone to our organization. We know that this is a patient-led organization. And so we put patients first and we want to hear their stories. So you're going to hear from our patients. And of course, where would we be without our doctors, without the healthcare professionals that are helping us on this journey? And we have some amazing supporters in this space that are part of our journey, that are part of the White Dress Project story, who are going to be here to talk a little bit later about all of the things that they're doing and why they support organizations like ours. So we are the White Dress Project, okay? We are the leading organization that is building this sisterhood, building advocacy, and empowering women across not just the United States, the world. The world. We have someone here on tonight from Canada, and we've done work in England, and we are expanding across the globe because we know that fibroids affect women from every corner of this earth, and we are going to touch those corners. So I'm going to get myself out of the way and bring up to the virtual space, the virtual mic, a woman that's been part of our journey for, I don't even know how long, who intimately knows this fibroid journey and has been such an avid supporter of the work that we do. Anytime we call on her, she's here. She's our friend. She's an advocate. She's an ally. She is all the things to the White Dress Project. So I'm excited to introduce our moderator for tonight, Adrianna Hopkins, anchor and reporter from WJLA-TV. So happy to have you here, Adrianna. Please come to the virtual space and kick us off this evening. We love you so much, and we're so happy you're here to celebrate with us.
Well, Jonelle, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction and welcome. And I can tell you exactly how long I've been involved with the White Dress Project because Tanika and I connected before my daughter was born, and she is now 4 years old. So I would say, Tanika, it's been about 5-6 years now.
Yes, Adrianna. And I mean, you have not left our side, and we cannot be more grateful to you just for your support and what you've done to just bring our mission forward and advocate for us. So thank you for being here again tonight.
Of course. So this is one of those situations where when you find yourself having been diagnosed with fibroids, you can really use the support. So I've been a part of this project because I absolutely adore you and your team, the board members, Nkem, Jonelle, everybody, Nikki, who's working behind the scenes to make us look amazing tonight in this virtual seminar. But really, I needed someone to lean on when I was going through my journey. Right. You all were there for me, so I'm always indebted to you for that. But let's get to a 10-year reflection with the founder of the White Dress Project. I want you to give us kind of a view of where you started and where we are.
Yes, Adrianna, I am so proud of the fact that we've gotten to 10 years. Like I'm almost pinching myself saying, where did the time go? Because I remember after my first myomectomy, literally, I've told this story so many times, but literally being in my closet and saying, I don't understand why I'm in so much pain, why there's no one talking about this, why I feel so alone. I can't be the only one who's canceling on my friends, feeling like, I'm just in so much pain. I'm bleeding so heavily. And I knew that I wanted to do something about it. And I remember just the moment sitting at the kitchen table, telling my husband that I'm gonna do this, we're gonna incorporate. And we did that on July 6th of 2014. And to see what we have created, the community, most importantly, that we have created is what I'm most proud about. It is what I set out to do. I set out to create a sisterhood. I set out to create a feeling that people did not have to suffer in silence alone with uterine fibroids. And I set out to create community that understood that they could advocate for themselves, that when they went to the doctor, there are certain questions that you can ask, and you can really have agency over your healthcare. And I am so proud. We're not perfect. You know, we get things wrong. We all work full-time jobs. But what I love about our group and what we've created is our authenticity. And we are truly, truly committed to creating what we want to see in the world, because we are all people who have gone through this. We have Derek on our board, who is our only guy, but he is also so committed because his wife is also on our board and shares her fibroid journey. So I just want to take a moment, if we could do a virtual round of applause just for all of you being here tonight and what we have created at the White Dress Project.
And I would like to toss to a video, as you said, Tanika, that really kind of gives an overview and a recap of what you all have accomplished over these past 10 years.
How many people know about the White Dress Project?
The White Dress Project is a nonprofit advocacy group dedicated to raising awareness of uterine fibroids and the impact of this serious medical condition on women around the world.
I'm Tanika Valbrun, and I am the founder of the White Dress Project, and I turned my pain into a movement.
It's a movement powered by empowering women with fibroids, endometriosis, polycystic ovary syndrome, and various reproductive health concerns.
I have suffered with fibroids from probably the age of 14 or 15, and I've always had really heavy periods, bloating, just excruciating pain. So I never wore any white clothing. I would always bring a bag with me with extra pads, extra leggings, a second pair of underwear. It was just always my life. So I started the White Dress Project because I wanted to have community. After my first surgery, 27 fibroids were removed. I said I didn't understand why people weren't talking about it, no walks, no runs, no legislation. So I wanted to do something about that. So I started the White Dress Project for community, for people to understand that they did not have to suffer in silence with fibroids.
90% of Black women and 70% of white women will be diagnosed with fibroids by the age of 50.
When I found out I had fibroids, it was too late and I had to have surgery, but I had no idea that my mother, my granny, and everybody else had them too back in the day, and they had to go through surgery as well. So if we would have talked about it before, maybe it could have prevented me from having to get my stomach cut open.
The White Dress Project hosts countless events, including Dialogue with the Doctors, Taboo Talks, and the Night in White, which is a celebration of this supportive and healing community.
Tonight is about so much, y'all. It is about our health, both mental and physical. It's about our overall well-being.
One of our newest programming additions is the Empowered Patient Tour that took off in 2022. Since then, the tour has made stops in Charlotte, Nashville, Brooklyn, New York, Dallas, Los Angeles, Miami, Jackson, Mississippi, and New Orleans, before heading across the pond to the UK.
All the London girlies showed up!
This global outreach takes the White Dress Project experience on the road as we bring together medical professionals, patient advocates, and anyone looking for support and guidance on their fibroid journey.
What this has done is showed me that it's important for us as women, especially as women of color, to have experiences like these with one another, to connect with one another, to create communities that thrive together.
The White Dress Project is also pushing policy change at the state and federal levels, including the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Uterine Fibroid Research and Education Act, which will provide $150 million to the National Institute of Health to address the fibroids public health crisis.
Our healthcare is American healthcare, and until Black women's health is centered in the healthcare of our nation, we will continue to see the disparities.
The White Dress Project movement continues to grow as we raise awareness of research, treatment options, and empowering patients so that they can be their best advocate.
Just say it's empowering to know, to learn about our bodies.
I've just been blown away by everything I've learned from White Dress Project.
We are all about empowering women with fibroids to be fearless. Let's be clear. When you have fibroids, you don't feel comfortable wearing white, but we use it as a symbol of hope and a symbol of empowerment that together we will get through this.
I am so proud of
Big
that.
pregnant, one of those clips. My goodness. You have a lot to be proud of. And it is amazing standing from the outside looking in, just watching how you've grown. And I think it's a testament to the fact that the message, the dedication, the commitment that you and your organization exhibit resonates with so many people. The community continues to grow. I want to ask you, you all were able to really work toward these Stephanie Tubbs Jones legislation. Where do we stand on this?
Yeah, so it's important to recognize that, there are a lot of issues that our government officials at times think are more important than uterine fibroids. Lisa, who works at Black Women's Health Imperative and does so much in the film world, is here in the chat and here tonight. And she often talks about just like how we need to continue to share our stories, because it's not always that our legislators are understanding the need for funding and the need for legislation. I remember one of the first times I went to advocate for just myself and the organization and people suffering with fibroids to Capitol Hill. A senator told me, asked me, Tanika, does anyone die from fibroids? And I was so taken aback by it because I felt like I didn't know that death needed to be the standard for us to care about legislation or funding around women's health. So I know that there are a lot of things that hinder us from getting legislation to move forward, but I'm very proud of where we are. So to answer your question, we have introduced the bill again this year. Representative Yvette Clarke did so, and Char and Jonelle were able to join her on Capitol Hill. So we are asking for everyone in our community to reach out to their members of Congress to let them know why this is important. And this is why I'll sound like a broken record tonight, but this is why it's always so important to share your stories. Because the stories that we share can resonate with our legislators and with our members of Congress, right? So if we're talking about the ways we're bleeding, the ways we're in pain, the ways that we're being denied care with certain procedures, then maybe that can trigger something with their personal family members, their wives, their daughters, their sisters. So it's that type of storytelling that I know and I believe contains so much data and so much power, right? There's so much power in us sharing our stories. So I'm very proud of the fact that we have reintroduced, and now we are just at the point where we are trying to get our legislators to sign on to that bill. One last point I will mention is that Dr. Biden has introduced the Women's Health Initiative, and we have been in talks with the White House sharing our message. So that's another thing we need the round of applause for, because, a lot of times we're critical of them not doing anything, our government officials not doing anything. But when they do things, we have to applaud that and let them know that we want our voice to be heard.
Absolutely. That's a good call to action that you mentioned there. And that's for everyone who's here tonight to talk to their friends and their loved ones and really rally their legislators in their area to get behind this bill. Okay, we've heard everything that you all have accomplished: the dialogue with doctors, taboo talks, Night in White, empowered patient tour, which was phenomenal last year in Washington, D.C., and this legislation that you all are pushing. What are your plans for the next, let's start with year, and then we'll say the next decade?
Oh my goodness, Adrianna, our board, I'm a visionary, but our board is made up of visionaries, creative people, and people who have been through this journey, right? So they are trying to create programming that they need for themselves, right? So we've created webinars that talk about what to ask your doctor, because these are questions that we've asked our doctor and they've been successful and conversations have gotten better. So we have so much planned for our 10th year. Without a doubt, we are doing Night in White again in July, which is our annual gala, always hosted by the lovely Adrianna Hopkins. We're doing something called State of the Womb, which is another town hall that gets influencers, celebrities together to really discuss what influence and what celebrity status and what government officials can we use to propel this message forward? Because we know we all live in an age where those voices sometimes rise to the top. So how can we utilize them to have these conversations? Obviously, we're doing something, everything is around the number 10, and we're doing something called the White Dress Project's Table of 10, where we bring 10 people together to have a very intimate discussion on what are we doing about fibroid legislation? What can we create for patients to take to the doctor? What can we do with our other communities, other partnerships that we can amplify this message? So that is something that brings in consumer brands like Target and Ralph Lauren and Rent the Runway and some of our celebrity partners, Microsoft. So we're really excited about the consumer brands that we're bringing into the White Dress Project family. I know my good friend Carol Johnson is here tonight, and she has Uterine Kind, which is an app that is all about tracking your symptoms, and you can take that data directly to the doctor. So when, we can't necessarily create an app at this point, we can partner with people who already have that app already made, and we can partner with them and make it a good partnership. So, I mean, on top of all the other things that we do, right? Dialogue with the doctors, taboo talks, Night in White. We're also doing our one-day summits in Atlanta and Chicago. I am getting my white dresses ready, okay? Because we are going across the country and going to some markets that we haven't been before. We've done a lot of work in DC because we've always wanted to stay close to our legislators and let them know that our message is, our message is loud. So we've always done a lot in DC, but now we're going to Chicago. Last year we went to LA, we've been to Texas, South Africa, London, Canada, New York. We're doing all the things because we understand how important it is for people to know that we are in their community and we are lifting their stories up.
What is your hope in terms of fibroid awareness and this nonprofit's impact on that 10 years from now? Where do you hope that we'll be based on your influence and your commitment and the organization's dedication?
Well, Adrianna, we will be a household name. I know that. I often talk to Dr. Hawkins, who you'll hear from in a little bit, about the fact that I believe and I know that fibroids is a public health issue, right? So we have to continue to do what we're doing. And just the fact that all of these people are here tonight to hear our mission, to hear our vision, to understand how they can get involved. The fact that we have doctors who completely support our work, researchers and scientists who completely support our work. There's some research stuff that's coming down the pipe that I'm so excited about that we're going to be able to share in a couple months. So the fact that we're doing all of this, we will be a household name. There won't be people who are suffering with fibroids and don't feel like they have a community they can call on, because we're going to be that community. We already are, and we just need to let more people know that we're here from them. Through that word of mouth and through that household name, we're going to get more funding. We're going to convince our government agencies that this is a public health issue. Women's health needs to be at the forefront. It is staggering, the numbers. We don't have enough time tonight for me to go through the numbers on how little funding we get for women's health and how little emphasis is placed on even just issues below the belt for women, right? But once again, household name, continue to do what we're doing, programming that is not only always about talking heads, right? But making sure that people are involved, making sure that we're creative about our programming. And I think that's why our organization has done so well, because we're thinking always about what the patient community needs. And I think when we're authentic like that, we can't go wrong.
Okay, you work in TV, so this will mean something to you. You have 1 minute to tell everyone here tonight what we need to do to support the White Dress Project.
Yes. So 1 minute. Oh my God, Adrianna, you know when when it's like live.
So you want to be on time, right? We're staying on time.
Exactly. We are staying on time tonight, so I appreciate you. So what I need people to do is share their stories. We also have some things that are coming down the pipe in terms of membership. Really, really excited about that. We're doing a giving fund where we're going to support our doctors so that they can support patients who can't afford certain procedures. We're partnering with certain organizations that will help women get a diagnosis sooner, because I know there's so many people in the chat that will say, I feel like I had fibroids 15 years before I was diagnosed, right? Because you've had the symptoms for so long. So we want people to get diagnosed earlier. So what can you do? Join a committee, join our board, share your story, donate to us. Did you hear me say donate? Donate to us, because all of this is for editorial and educational material that we can use to better strengthen our community, and just at the end of the day, make an overall empowered patient. And an empowered patient is a strong patient.
All right, you did good. That was a minute. And I'll ask Nikki,
Awesome.
who again is making us look good behind the scenes, if she could drop the donation link there in the chat for everyone to see it.
Yes.
And someone brought up a good point, maybe to check with companies that you work for and see if they have a matching gifts program, because really fundraising, donations, that's what keeps the mission going. Tanika, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Virtual
Adrianna.
round of applause for all of your work over the past decade.
Yes,
I want to
thank
introduce
you.
now Nkem, who I work with closely for dialogue with the doctors. Nkem, you are instrumental in recruiting doctors, patient advocates to come and share their story. Let's start with how you feel after being part of the community for 5 years and the strides that you've made.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Adrianna, and thank you everyone for being here and joining us tonight. So for me, I want to start by just sharing how traumatic my fibroid journey has been. You know, I ended up in the hospital with a hemoglobin of 3, an enlarged heart, needing a blood transfusion in order to save my life, on the brink of cardiac arrest. It was extremely traumatic. So when I say that, you know, when we hear people always saying, downplaying and dismissing our experiences as don't all women have fibroids, or don't most women have fibroids, you know, just deal with it. No. You know, I had the opportunity, I had the blessing of having access to many resources. My sister's a doctor. You know, I had hospitals on almost every corner. You know, so had I not had access to those resources, I would not be here speaking with you today. You know, so the work that the White Dress Project is doing is extremely meaningful to me. And it has been such a rewarding experience being able to empower, you know, other women. As I have the honor of empowering those women, they empower me, you know, as well. hearing the stories of so many women in our community who are going through this journey, have had the strength and the courage to get the treatment that they need has encouraged me, because I'm at a point in my journey where I'm still trying to figure out the next step in terms of treatment. So they empower me as much as I empower them. So I am extremely proud of how far, we have come as an organization. We are an organization made up of completely of volunteers. We all have full-time jobs, but we are so passionate about this mission, about this vision, about the women and everyone in our community, that we are really working hard diligently every single day, to ensure that we see the change, that we create the change that we all seek in this space. And although we made such an impact, I know we have so much more that we can do. And the community collectively, our collective voices can create that lasting change that we all seek. And I'm extremely proud of the community that we have cultivated. We are all united through our shared experiences. And one thing about community is that it reinforces for us the fact that we are not alone on this journey. This community, sharing our stories can bring people out from the dark shadows of silence, of loneliness, of hopelessness, into the bright lights of hope, of strength, of resilience, of courage. So that is what I'm extremely proud of. And I'm really looking forward to the next 10 years and beyond.
I love it. I love it. And I'm always so inspired by your perseverance and your passion. I want to bring in two newer supporters of the White Dress Project, Nycole Jones and Tambra Cherie. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Nycole, I want to start with you, and I want to ask you, what inspired you to get involved?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, this goes back, and hello everyone. Thank you for all coming and joining us. You know what? Before I got pregnant, I was looking into holistic ways of trying to heal my fibroids, and I was looking for answers. And that's when I stumbled upon the White Dress Project that has been a part of my healing journey for the past, 7 years now. And it was such a big thing when I really needed them the most during my pregnancy. I was constantly online looking at the information that was coming up. And I was like, I think I need to really start using my voice and advocate for people like my daughter, my mother, my aunts, everybody. So here I am.
And Tambra Cherie, I'll ask you the same thing. What inspired you to become involved with the White Dress Project?
Honestly, to be honest with you, first and foremost, hi guys, hello everyone. This is amazing. Let me say this first. This is amazing. And Tanika knows I love her and the work that the organization is doing. I am happy to be here and I appreciate you guys for having me. To answer your question, for me, it was the work. It was the work that they were doing. Just simple as that. I saw them doing what they were doing in the community and around the world. It was amazing to me. I am one of those, I come from the world of radio, to be honest with you. And for radio, it's all about my audience. I had never even talked about my story. It was about my audience. I've always been taught that it's not about you, it's about your audience. So I never really spoke about my story. It wasn't until television that I actually came across, and it's so weird that I have to share the story. Even in television, it wasn't like I voluntarily said, okay, let me share this story. It was not like that. And I have to be totally honest. One of my producers asked me one day, and I shared this with Tanika, I was trying to get out of filming. They wanted to go have lunch with girls. And I was like, I can't do that today. I have a doctor's appointment. My producer literally asked me, what are you going to the doctor for if you do not mind? And I told her I was following up with fibroids. I have fibroids. I was doing a follow-up for that. She says, that's a part of your story. That's a part of you. And literally, that's how it came with me being like, that's true. And I can honestly say, when I went through my fibroid spells, because I've had a number of surgeries, I didn't have this. So when I saw the White Dress Project and what they were doing for women and the support, I did not have that. And sometimes, I think back and I'm like, wow, the first time I had my fibroid, I was in college, ladies, I was in college, had graduated. And when they came in there and said it was a fibroid, I was like, what is that? I had graduated from college. They're retired with A's. So I consider myself, I was a little smart. And I'm like, I didn't even know what a fibroid was. And no one had ever talked about that in my family. But once again, some of the ladies said, your mom, your aunts, they had these surgeries, but we didn't talk about it. And it was something that my peers were not talking about. We just were not. Something that in our communities, we're just not talking. We weren't talking about our health like we are now. That's why I think the work that this organization is doing, it is very, very important. So now, yes, this is not a club that we would have voluntarily signed up to be a part of. This is our assignment. And that's why I love what they're doing, for sure.
This is our assignment. Put it on a t-shirt, sell it, and raise money for the White Dress Project. That was perfect. And you're absolutely right. I relate to you because I agree with you. I graduated college with top honors. And when I found out I had fibroids, I did not know what they were. And no one talked about it. I said it to my mom. She said, oh, I have fibroids. Well, thanks, Ma. Would have been nice to know. And then the worst thing about it is you go on Google and you fall down this rabbit hole of mess. And so my favorite thing about the White Dress Project is they give you vetted resources, vetted information from the mouths of the doctors and the researchers who are doing the good work of giving us information that makes us hopeful as opposed to continues to make us feel depressed. Nycole, I want to ask you, how do you share your story with your peers and people that you run into? Because I think it's important for us to know how we can broach this conversation. Tambra, I know you just happened to say, I'm going to check out my fibroids, but because somebody asked, but how can we broach this conversation to make sure that we are talking about it and not wasting away in silence?
I believe vulnerability is everything. And even when I bring it up, what people want, if I'll still wear a crop top, I had an open myomectomy right after my pregnancy. So I have a scar. And I can see sometimes people are looking like, what is going on? And honestly, I open, I'm like, this is my storyline. I had fibroids. My biggest one was 9 pounds. And I literally go into how I start looking more into it. And it always opens up more conversations, young, old, in between. I think I have something going on. I brought it up to my doctor. They're not looking into it. I just actually had a good conversation with my niece, bless her little heart. She's 22 and she had a cyst that ruptured and she called me right away. How do I know I don't have fibroids? And she's like, but I'm so worried because grandma, and that's who my mother, we knew that she was going through it, but she never spoke about it. And here she was freaking out. She's like, but how do I know? And the only person I know who's ever brought it up was you, Auntie. So what do I tell my doctor? And I was like, okay, well, let's talk about the cyst. So I gave her, my whole rundown. But I feel like once I start telling my story, it opened up not only the avenue for my family, it opened up an avenue for others, especially the younger generation, where they're not really into knowing how their body works and what's going on. Because I feel like the topic is still a little taboo. As much as we're open to it, it's like, can we really touch on it? And the only way is vulnerability, being open, sharing your own story. And even with me having the heavy periods, I've had multiple miscarriages. Now, some people say, Nycole, you're a hairstylist. Well, how is that deal? How do you know? How do you know it's not the chemicals? I'm like, I really don't know, but I do feel like at a young age, in my young 20s, I was dealing with it. But even though I had my miscarriages, even though they sent me home with codeine and said, have a good life. No one actually told me I had the fibroids until in my 30s. And it was like, oh, you have fibroids. So once I start understanding, you know what, if I'm not going to advocate for my body, no one else will.
And advocating for yourself is so important. I think I was at a disadvantage because, again, I didn't know what fibroids were and I didn't know how to advocate for myself. So Tambra, I'm going to ask you, when you are engaging in these conversations with people who were in our position and aren't as well versed in fibroids and treatments and research and those emotional roller coasters you're on, how do you give them guidance? How do you support them?
Well, I agree with her. You have to really now be an advocate for yourself because we've learned so much. I didn't know what a fibroid was, but as I've grown and I've had these experiences, I've changed doctors. I can honestly say, I remember the very first time, my very first experience with fibroids. And that's why our stories, this is why I like for women to know our stories because our stories are so different and important. I was the one that I did not have symptoms. I did not have those heavy periods. So that's why our stories are different. So it's important. And I always remember, look, ladies, I was on a trip coming back from Miami, just had a great time, great vacation. And I just remember my side hurting. That's it. My experience with fibroids, the very first time it went so fast. I was like, why is my side? I went to work and my side was still hurting. I ended up calling my doctor, went into my doctor, and he's like, I am so sorry you're experiencing this pain. And so the next morning they checked me into the hospital. I had an emergency myomectomy. That's how I learned. That's why I said when they came in, and they weren't even calling it a fibroid then when I went into surgery, they kept saying it's a mass. That's what they kept saying. So at that point, I'm freaking out. Like, what is this? It has to come out. And I always remember that doctor saying, we would have caught this if we would have been doing ultrasounds. Who goes to the doctor and asks for an ultrasound? In my 20s, I'm thinking that's something for pregnant women. And I always remember him saying that. And I was like, but you've been my doctor for how long? So if I would have been doing ultrasounds, and who asked for that? And I always remember that because I have a totally different doctor now. And that is very important. Your doctor is very, very important. I am grateful for my doctor because I am an advocate for myself, but she is also an advocate for me too. So I am blessed to have those doctors now that they have to be invested in you, not only listening to you, but understanding you as well. So that's super important. But going back to the question, as far as like, I just feel like just being an advocate for yourself. Now, yes, I do go and I ask for ultrasounds because now I know how important they are. I personally, after my second surgery, I personally made the decision, I froze my eggs. I didn't have a doctor tell me to do that. I did not have kids yet. One of the things that I was continuing to do, I went to a doctor that was preserving my uterus, which was very important. I ended up switching doctors, and that doctor was about preserving my uterus. Keep in mind, I was in my 20s. That's something I wanted to do. So that's important, finding the right doctor and making sure your doctor understands you and what you want to do. That is so important, very important. So like I said, my biggest thing is being an advocate now. And I'll tell other people, be an advocate for yourself. Ask the right questions, do the research. Now you have these organizations, they can help you and see, what do I need to ask? Now I did not know anything about ultrasound. Now it's the first thing on my list. I want an ultrasound. Let me see what's going on with my fibroids. That's the questions I was saying to my doctor. And the doctor I have now, I didn't even have to ask her because she was ready to do an ultrasound anyway. So that's very important. The doctor and advocating for yourself and your health.
I always use the analogy, you would not go to a hairstylist and let them jack up your hair and keep going back. You would fire them and find somebody who works.
Exactly.
Hire them and find someone who's working in partnership with you. I think a lot of times we go to the doctor and they are the expert. And so we just sit back in the passenger seat and sometimes in the back seat and let them drive us along, and we're not navigating. If you're going to be in the passenger seat, you need to navigate. He's driving, but where are we going? How are we getting there? What are we doing? So that partnership between patient and doctor is absolutely key. The other thing you brought up, Tambra, that resonated with me, I found out I had fibroids at 32. And I wanted to have kids. I was engaged. And my mom, who's a doctor, she's the one who said, go to a fertility doctor and get the two of them to talk. Because you're right, a GYN is just going to fix the problem. A fertility doctor is going to preserve your womb. So having your doctors all on the same page, even if they're not in the same medical system or whatever, getting them on the same page is advocating for yourself as well. Ladies, thank you so much for sharing your stories and being so passionate about the work and talking about it without shame, without embarrassment, with transparency and vulnerability. Thank you for being here tonight. We certainly appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And congratulations to all of you. Thank you, Tanika, and the work that you're doing. We need this in our community. So important. All of you ladies.
Needs to be known that it needs to be in the community.
I want to bring in now two doctors who have really been instrumental in the cause of the White Dress Project, Dr. Hawkins and Dr. Powell. We do something called Dialogue with the Doctors. If you're not familiar at all, definitely get familiar. I host them, and I always start off saying that we have doctors who are here who are not rushing you out of the doctor's office. They're allowing you to ask questions, and you're not paying a copay. So both of you have been involved with the White Dress Project. Thank you for that, and thank you for sharing your expertise and your time. I want to ask you, Dr. Hawkins, first, your inspiration for being a part of this great nonprofit.
Oh my goodness. It started a while ago, probably close to 10 years ago. I actually started off as a fan. I definitely was fangirling Tanika. I was following everything that she was doing. I was very impressed with her advocacy work as a patient. And I went to some of her events that she was doing in the Atlanta community. I was invited by another good friend of ours, Dr. Jessica Shepard. And when I introduced myself to her, she was so humble. I mean, she was so giving of her time and her energy. And I can tell her heart was in this mission, and I had to be a part of it because fibroids and the journey that women have with their fibroids has always been a part of my mission. I think it's literally what I do is ministry work. And so aligning myself with Tanika and the White Dress Project was just a perfect pairing. And I'm still in awe of this woman and where she has gone over the last 10 years. So I'm definitely always going to be a part of this journey with them.
I love it. Dr. Powell, I want to ask you, since the White Dress Project and the work that you've done with the White Dress Project, are you noticing when you're meeting with your patients that they do feel empowered in their journey and they are changing the questions they're asking?
Yeah, I mean, I like, the conversation we had earlier about, finding a doctor you feel comfortable with, because at the end of the day, you should feel comfortable having these conversations with your doctor. And if you don't, then you find somebody else. And I think as doctors, it's our job to, find these things. Patients don't know they have fibroids. They don't know that their periods are abnormal because you only know your own period. Maybe you know your mama's period or your sister's period, but you don't know your own period, or you don't know if that's abnormal. And so I think it's important, as physicians, and, I encourage my colleagues when we have meetings about fibroids and how we can do better for our patients is asking questions. What is your period like? What is it like? How often do you have to change your pad? Do you have pain? And, ultrasound, I'm quick to get an ultrasound because an ultrasound is a very inexpensive, non-invasive, we can usually get it within 24 hours, a very easy test to do. And there's, very little potential harm in getting it. So I think it's just the more information, the better. But I think, organizations like this and all the work that Tanika has done, it's really empowered patients to ask the questions and, just do better for themselves and their family.
Absolutely. Dr. Powell, we hear a lot of people say, maybe diet, red meat, or not enough vegetables, or chemicals, as we heard Nycole say, maybe it's a relaxer that is contributing to fibroids. What is your response to that in terms of where the research stands and what we know and what we don't know about our health and wellness and what we're putting into and onto our bodies?
I mean, I think it's multifactorial. I think we're seeing, over the rise of a lot of conditions, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with our diet and what we're exposed to. So, research definitely supports, an increase in alcohol being associated with an increase in fibroid size and development, particularly beer, red meat, especially the cured meats like hams and salami and deli meats being, not favorable. Things that I encourage people to eat, because sometimes people don't like to hear stuff that, we don't want them to have, but encouraging them to, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, low sugar, low glycemic index foods, a lot of antioxidants, think about the healthy fats and just really looking at your diet. I think, the foods that we can eat that are great to support our uterus supports our whole body. So we want to really think about anti-inflammatory foods. If you're looking at stuff and you don't know what it is, or there's so many ingredients in it, it's probably not great for you. And I also think we need to consider the quality of our food. We talked about, chemicals and pollutants. Our fish are in that water. Our, plants are grown in that soil. Our, chickens that we eat their eggs are, eating off the ground. So you really want to think about the quality of the food that you're eating as well. I really encourage my patients to eat lots of fruits and vegetables. And I don't say that they need to be vegan, but I want them to be plant forward. As a primary care physician, I'm managing things like blood pressure, and we know that there is a link between elevated blood pressure and fibroid size. So I tend to be very aggressive in treating patients' blood pressure, which I think is important, and our diet is important with that as well. And then vitamin D deficiency, we know that a deficiency in vitamin D is linked to an increase in fibroid size. And so I'm very diligent. I always get pushback, like, why are you checking vitamin D? It's not part of a standard panel. I've never met an African-American who's not on vitamin D supplement with a normal vitamin D. So I just code everybody that they have deficiency, because they all do. It all comes back as they do. And so, asking these questions, and you wouldn't know as a patient to ask for that. And so again, it's our responsibility, as providers, but I also want to empower everyone here that you can ask these questions, and these are things that you can do for yourself, right? There's so many things that we can't control, but we can control the food that we put in our body. We can try to control how we live our lifestyle and managing stress and getting our rest and moving our body. So, I just encourage everybody to do what you can do.
Okay, so call to action is when you're with your doctor, ask for an ultrasound, tell them, I know it's not expensive. You'll get the results in 24 hours. Give me my ultrasound, watch our diet. And then of course, vitamin D supplement, because 9 times out of 10, if you're an African-American woman, you're vitamin D deficient. Dr. Hawkins, you are a minimally invasive gynecological surgeon. That's a mouthful. Can you talk to us about the latest innovations and treatments for fibroids?
Yeah, the beautiful thing about medicine these days, honestly, is the technology is moving in light speed. We have so many options that we just didn't have even 10 years ago. Radio frequency energy has been used in many areas of the body to treat cancers. We've seen it in different organs, male body parts. They were around for them many decades ago. And now we're turning the table and seeing how can we use it in women's health, and fibroids is kind of where we've landed. We've had radio frequency energy approved since 2012, which in the grand scheme of things hasn't been that long, but now we're really revving up the awareness that our physicians have, as well as our patients have, in technology that I'm so excited about. One of the things that I'm most excited about is because I think it gets us a little bit closer to what we all have as a common goal. Prayerfully, one day we can see fibroids be treated as a more preventable disease. Maybe we can't prevent people from having it completely, but can we prevent it from becoming debilitating? Can we prevent it from becoming a process that makes women anemic and need blood transfusions, miss days of work, lose productivity, and miss out on time with their family? Can we stop it before it gets that bad? And with radio frequency ablation, where we're now able to shrink fibroids, get women back to their lives and their families quicker with less pain and less complication in those surgeries. I mean, we're turning the table on this thing. I think just like every other disease process that we treat, from cancer to diabetes to hypertension, the sooner that we know the disease process is there, the more intervention and options we have for patients, and the more preventative that we can be in treating them. And now we finally have surgeries that can do that as well.
It really came to light during COVID that African Americans, brown people, BIPOC people, we do not participate in clinical trials as we should. Granted, we have a strong mistrust of the medical community, which is earned for many of us. But are there any trials or studies that you all are aware of that we should be asking our doctors, whether we have fibroids, have had fibroids, or anything we can participate in?
Yeah, so there are studies out there, and also some of them are as simple as surveys that are being done to better understand fibroids and how women are living with fibroids and their family history. Because you mentioned it, right? That you found out that your mom had fibroids after you were diagnosed. My mother found out she had endometriosis after I was diagnosed. So literally, what are the family traits? We know that there's a genetic predisposition, like Dr. Powell said, is so multifactorial. So some of the surveys are very easy for us to participate. Research is very easy for us to participate in because it's just surveys. Then there are definitely NIH type of research that's going on that is looking at those links that we're talking about now. Some of the things like what we put in our hair and what we put on our skin and the foods that we eat, that is trying to build a bridge and link and a better understanding on, again, that preventive measures that we could take. So there's some really, really, really good research that's going on. And to Tanika's point, we're nowhere close to the funding that we need to really be impactful, to really reach the communities that are being affected by fibroid and to be able to get them involved. But the white dress having that as a part of their mission is helping to bridge that gap.
Understood. Okay, I'm going to give you both a minute each because I'm working hard to keep us on time here. I'll start with you, Dr. Powell. What words of hope do you want to give to people in the audience who are dealing with fibroids and they're on this journey, which can be very lonely, isolating, and confusing?
I think that, and it's kind of been the theme here, is to advocate for yourself. What hurts me the most is when I've had a patient who suffered for years and they may have seen somebody in the past and they were told their only option was like hysterectomy or something invasive and they didn't understand why, or they weren't offered any other options. And so because they didn't want to do that, they did nothing. And then they come see me years later and, and I say, well, what's been done for the fibroids? Where are we at with that? And nothing has been done because they didn't like what they were told. And so they did nothing. So please don't do that. Again, if you don't agree with the treatment plan, because you're the patient, you're the boss of you. And so our purpose is to provide you with the information, the risk and benefits of all of your options. And then as a team, we have to decide what's going to be best for you. But if you hear something that you don't like, don't not do anything, because I feel like that's the worst thing that you could do. Like, have a conversation, get another opinion, get 3 or 4 or 5 opinions. And even if they all say the same thing, nothing has been lost. All it did was reaffirm to you that maybe this may be an option to explore. So just don't ignore your symptoms and don't ignore the diagnosis.
You're the boss of you and a plant-forward diet. You've got 2 gems to put on a t-shirt. Thank you for your time. Dr. Hawkins, go ahead and give us kind of your words of hope and wisdom for anyone out there on this journey.
Ooh, Dr. Powell just hit on something, hit on the sensitive spot. Do not do nothing, ladies. Do not do nothing. My husband is a partner with me in our practice, and he himself came up with this idea of doing a second opinion campaign this year to let women know that if you are unhappy with the discussion you've had with your doctor, and you want to hear more or be able to voice more and give more into your care, get a second opinion. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because when I do those cases where I'm like, oh God, these fibroids are about to touch your tonsils, my love, why are we here? Why didn't we do this intervention 10 years ago? And a lot of times that's rooted in fear and distrust in, the experiences that they've had with their doctors along the way, right? But I implore you, women, do not do nothing. It's doing more damage than good to do nothing. Seek a second opinion.
I love that. Thank you both so much for sharing your expertise and your words of encouragement with us tonight. I am going to bring Tanika back.
Right before Dr. Powell leaves, Nikki, if you could bring Dr. Powell back up, she did want to share some of her culinary gems and seasonings with somebody in the audience. So Dr. Powell, if you would just tell us about what you have going on.
Sure. So I've created a seasoning. It's called the Everything Seasoning. It's something that me and my mom actually created together. We literally make it in a mortar and pestle and grind it up together. And that's because sometimes we want to eat well, but then we put stuff on our food that's not well. And so it kind of cancels out. So I wanted to create something that I know my patients could consume and I wouldn't be worried about additives. I wouldn't be worried about sugar. I wouldn't be worried about excessive salt. I wouldn't, and it could go literally on everything they eat to just make things simple. And so I thought that I could give away today just like a box of some of my favorite stuff. Of course, my seasoning, I'll give you a bottle of that with a refill. I'll give you some books that I enjoy. I'm going to throw in some of my favorite supplements, if that's okay. I'm a big supplement person. And so I would love to throw in some of that stuff and just some goodies to help you out in the kitchen. I believe cooking should be fun, it should be easy. And I believe eating well should be something that we can all do. And so I want to be able to bless somebody with that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Powell. And we will figure out a way to give that away tonight. But Dr. Powell, if you would let us know where we can reach you on Instagram.
So I'm on Instagram at Dr. Lauren Powell. You can go to my website, www.drlaurenpowell.com. You can find more about the seasoning there and books and things that I have. I'm in private practice here in Atlanta. So if anybody needs something from a patient perspective, I'm here for that as well. I work a lot with Dr. Hawkins. And I'm thankful for you, Tanika, for that, because I wouldn't have met her had it not been for you. And we've shared so many patients, and I've just been so thankful for the care that she's provided for my patients. I always know that they are in amazingly good hands. And I say, what she says, that's what that's what we're gonna do. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, I love you both. Both of you are my personal doctors, and I couldn't get through my journey without both of you. So thank you. Adrianna, just a point of privilege really quickly. I just want, and then I'll go into our 2024 plan, but because it's what we do here at the White Dress Project, I want Dr. Hawkins to answer just a couple questions in the chat. I don't know if you saw them, Dr. Hawkins, but one is from Natalie Simmons. I'm getting ready for my second embryo transfer. The first one was an ectopic pregnancy. Anything I can do to increase chances of carrying successfully while having fibroids? Natalie, first of all, thank you for sharing your story. Dr. Hawkins, anything you can add for her?
Oh, it's complex, right? There are questions about, because I know one thing that is fearful the second time around is that what's going to happen the first time might repeat itself. But my prayer for you is that whatever may have contributed to that ectopic the first time around has been resolved. May that have been adhesions, or if there was endometriosis there, or if there was something going on with that tubal anatomy. And if you're doing an embryo transfer this time, right, which that ectopic may have been more consistent with the IUI or a natural pregnancy. If you're doing an embryo transfer this time, that by itself decreases that risk. So my prayer is that whatever was going on before has been addressed, and that you are working closely and getting all the answers that you need from your fertility doctor, so this one is successful.
And Natalie, I want to jump in here and say that both of my babies are IVF babies, and I had my fibroids removed before undergoing any IVF. With my son, they found a small fibroid. I did the embryo transfer. He's fine. My fibroid is still very small. So it is absolutely possible to carry a child with a fibroid. But as Dr. Hawkins said, I worked very closely with my fertility doctor. I mean, he knew my uterus in and out. So that's just kind of how it has to be. There was one other question I did find interesting, because we know there is a genetic disposition to fibroids. And Dana Brown asked, while my daughter is only 3, I think about her future with this constantly. When she's of age, when is the best time to get her checked for fibroids?
I would actually recommend that the conversations start to be had, maybe even when she's starting to wonder what my first cycle might look like. Not in a fair way, not in a way that's like, ooh, doom and gloom about the possibility of fibroids, but with the education of the awareness that she should have of her body and what's going on with it, right? So we had guests earlier that were talking about being diagnosed many years after their symptoms started. I was someone that didn't have symptoms, and I was diagnosed when my uterus was huge, even though I went to the doctor every year and had exams. So the understanding of how to see and be more aware of your body, even at that first menstruation, right, will carry with her into her teenage years, into her 20s, and she'll partner with a doctor that she feels like is listening to her and allowing her to be a partner in the decision making, and be able to get that ultrasound at the slightest change, or the slightest abnormality, or the slightest concern. But what we don't want her to do is live a life of anxiety of what she feels might be inevitable and horrible. We don't want her to live with that fear and concern.
And I think this is the greatest time to really take advantage of lifestyle factors. I think this is the time that we want to encourage our family and our kids to eat healthy and get them in the kitchen, because those are things that we can control. Like, we can't really control a lot about our genetics, but there's something that, it's called epigenetics, and it determines what genes are turned on and off. And so kind of really trying to optimize our lifestyle as much as possible and teaching that from a young age, I think is something that we can really empower ourselves and our family to do.
I believe I have you both for just 4 more minutes. I'm going to squeeze in one more question here. This is from Aya Wallace. She says, is open surgery the only option for diagnosis that says the fibroids are too many to count? She's scheduling her surgery for April and is being told that because there's so many fibroids, open surgery is her only option, especially if she's trying to preserve the uterus for future pregnancies. She says she's 42 years old.
That is actually probably quite accurate when we see those imaging and those MRIs, when it says that there are too many fibroids or too numerous to count, usually meaning there's more than 20 or 30 fibroids, and the radiologist was like, okay, enough, I'm not counting anymore. An open myomectomy is going to give her doctor the best chance of putting in their hands on those fibroids, rubbing it between their fingers and finding even the smallest molecule of fibroids. I do truly believe some of the recurrence that we have for patients after open myomectomies or myomectomies period is in possibly some of the missed fibroids. So even though it's this, it's not usually what we want to do, have an open surgery. I'm a minimally invasive surgeon. I'm always going to try to figure out a way to do the procedure laparoscopically, but I do a lot of open myomectomies too, because sometimes that is the best route for the patient, and it'll give her the best opportunity for a great reconstruction of her uterus and for her to have a pregnancy. I had a patient DM me just last week. She was 43. I did her surgery in 2019 after 5 doctors told her to get a hysterectomy. She just delivered her baby girl.
Oh my goodness. That's why you have to get so many second, third, and fourth opinions, because wow. I will also say I agree with you. I had an ultrasound. I think maybe the doctor saw 3 fibroids. She did an MRI same day because she was not playing any games. And I told her I wanted to have kids, and saw 4 or 5 fibroids, opened me up and saw and got 10 out. So sometimes opening you up is just the best way. She also checked everything, ovaries, fallopian tubes, just to make sure everything was good. You're looking for endometriosis and other issues that might be there that might have been missed. So, okay, I believe I'm out of time with both of you. It is 8:10. So thank you both again so much for your time. And Tanika, I believe the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Adrianna, and thank you, Dr. Hawkins and Dr. Powell. Like I said, we could not do this work without you, because, you are our doctors who speak truth to power, who are always supportive of us, who always are sharing the research and innovations in this space. And I think we've done a good job of creating community, but we're not doctors. So we need your support always. So we just thank you for being here and sharing with us tonight. I am so excited about our 2024 year. Once again, as you've heard, it is our 10th anniversary. Officially on July 6th will be 10 years since we have been a nonprofit organization. And as you've heard tonight, storytelling is really at the heart of what we do, and it makes our work so authentic. It makes the programming that we put together authentic and one that serves our community. So we're so proud of what we've been able to do, but we know that there is so much more to do. We know that there are more people to reach. We know that there is a greater community to be had. There's more legislation to be done, more funding to be raised, because we know that women's health really, it's staggering and sad, the amount of funding that we don't get. So we have to continue to share our stories and continue to advocate for ourselves in order for that to happen. I love what's happening in the chat with all the questions, and really just feeling like community. There's somebody who is a doctor in the chat and answered one of the questions for us. And that is what our community does. It lets people know that you're not in this alone. At the end of the day, sis, I got you. If you don't feel like wearing white clothing today, I got you, because it is community and it's sisterhood, and it's allowing everyone to know that this journey is not theirs alone to fight. So what are we doing for 2024? I alluded to some of it a little bit earlier, but I want to talk specifically about our membership that we're going to be rolling out. In March, which is Women's History Month, we will start the White Dress Project membership that you and your friends and your colleagues can join. The membership will have 4 different levels, and at each level, you will receive different benefits. Some of these benefits include branded t-shirts, cups, magnets, listening on the website as a supporter, discounts to our monthly webinars, and discount to our events. And again, it will depend on the type of membership you pick. But one of the things that a colleague of mine told me earlier this week was just about the fact that people are really, really interested in still sharing their stories, but still want private spaces. They still want spaces where they can come in community and feel like their stories and what they're sharing are still confidential. So membership is a way for us to do that. It's a way for you to get exclusive access to our advisory council of doctors, to get a second opinion, to ask questions that you're not able to ask your own doctor, and really just another level to our community. So we're really excited about that. So look for that in March. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing a giving fund. We get so many DMs about people who cannot afford an ultrasound or don't have insurance to cover a myomectomy or any type of fibroid treatment that you may need. And we want to be a space that can offer some of that. So we're going to be partnering with some of our doctors so that they can get some funding, additional funding that will help them take care of patients that otherwise can't afford it, because we want to ensure that we are making sure that we're doing our part to help those who can't afford treatment. We're also going to be doing our Night in White, our annual gala. It's going to be held in Washington, D.C. again this year, and we're really, really excited about that. The date will be coming soon. So really excited about what we have planned for that, including our Blossom Awards. We're also doing so much, which I wish I could tell you tonight, but some things we can't share yet, but really doing a lot with our government agencies. And we really, I think in our 10 years, have been driving home the message that funding is necessary, research is necessary. We need to get to the bottom of why fibroids appear in our uterus in the first place. We need to get to the bottom of why Black women are disproportionately impacted. So some of our government agencies have heard us, and that is great. So a lot of research initiatives that are coming down the pipe that we're very excited about. If you haven't taken our White Dress Project survey, that is also available for you to take. And from that, we will be writing research papers that we can submit to our government agencies that will aid in research. And while you're hearing me rattle off all of these things, I want you to understand the importance, again, of this work. And when you are sharing your story, when you're calling your member of Congress, when you're coming to our events, you are participating in history, right? Things like this have never been done specifically for uterine fibroids. And we're excited that we are the organization that is getting this done. So I want you to feel like you're a part of history. I also want you to feel like you're helping your community. I want you to feel like by being here tonight, even if this is not your story, you have heard something tonight that you can share with your sister, you can share with a colleague, you can share with your neighbor, because really that is how all of this information goes from one person to another person and we have that domino effect. So I really want you to understand that not only are you a part of history, but you're a part of the solution. You're a part of the story. And we cannot do any of this work without you. As I said earlier, donate, donate, donate. Our board members put the donate link in the chat earlier. And what your funding does, honestly, is goes towards that giving fund that can help doctors fund the patient who can't afford it. It helps us put on programming like this so that we can make sure that you can fight through the Instagram noise, the social media noise, the Google noise, and really get sound information from our physicians. It helps us build community. So it helps us put on events that people can come to and feel really strong about what they're going through and feel supported by what they're going through. So many initiatives coming down the pike this year. As I told you earlier about the White Dress Project Table of 10, we're continuing our What the F series, dialogue with the doctors. Two other important things that we're going to be doing this year are our one-day summits. One will be held in Chicago in June and another in Atlanta sometime in July. So look out for those dates. You can always follow us on our social media channels at We Can Wear White, the White Dress Project on Facebook. We also got a TikTok, y'all. So that is coming. So just look and follow us on TikTok as well. But all of this to say, I've just rattled off a bunch of things, but all of this to say that you are a part of our community. We would not be here 10 years later without all of you, without your stories, without your questions, without your prodding and pushing us to do more, to create more. So I want everyone on this call to share with others the work that we're doing and really understand that you are a part of our journey. So this is our 10th year, but we're just getting started with the celebrations. And, you know, July is our month. So please get your white clothing ready, because all throughout the year, we're going to be having intentional conversations with researchers and scientists and doctors and health practitioners and nutritionists that can really help you on your journey. Because at the end of the day, that is the White Dress Project's mission. We don't want anyone to feel alone, and we don't want anyone to feel like they don't have the resources they need to get through this journey. So I thank you all so much for being here. We're ending I think we're going to move to questions, but I just want to reiterate that you all are part of our community. We could not do any of this without you. So I want you to feel like, yes, DM us, email us, write to us, whatever you need to do, pigeon carrier, whatever you need to do to get the message to us, because we've created this for you and for us, and together we will make a difference.
I think that, you know, that's a good note to end on: the calls to action, sharing our stories, pushing our legislators. I know that you're checking the chat, but people have really just been saying thank you for the information. Thank you for being there, resonating with the message. We do have some questions about the donation link, the survey link, to put that in the chat. I see the donation link here. Is there going to be a replay of this to share with others?
Yes, absolutely. So tonight, I just want everybody to know, and Dominique, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had over 200 registrants, and we had some capacity issues. Once again, trial and error for a lot of things, right? Because we're a growing organization. But we absolutely will be replaying this. And what 200 registrants means to me is that people want this information. Like they didn't come for me. They didn't come for any of us. They came to hear and learn, how can I get information that I can use to help myself, or maybe help my neighbor or help someone else. So I just understand it's moments like this that really push me forward to continue this work, because I understand that the appetite is there, our community wants it, and we are helping people. So it's just a blessing to me to know. So yes, I think Dominique, our director of operations, said that it'll be up by Monday. And maybe we'll get it up a little earlier than that. So yes, please just look out on our social media channels. It'll also be on our YouTube channel. So we can put the link in for that as well.
I see another question. What projects or committees are available for people to join?
Oh, yes. Who asked that question?
Donna Logan, Miss Donna Logan.
Yes, Donna, yes, we'd love to have you. I don't know if Nkem can jump on. Our board members are on here too. Derek, if you want to say something, Jonelle, just about our programs, but we're looking for committee members for communications. Tadina and Danielle are on here. Programs, we need people for our virtual events. So if you would just reach out to us at info@thewhitedressproject.org. It's the best way to reach us, to hear about what committees we have, and we'd love to get you connected. So thank you, Donna.
We also have someone asking if you're available to do a webinar. Well, Donna Lacey, if you're available to do a webinar for a women's group. And really, are you available to do these webinars for any company, organization, other nonprofits, where they might have an audience who needs to hear this?
Yeah, I appreciate that so much. And any space that we can get into where people are, we want to be, because we understand the importance of spreading this message. So yes, Donna, please send me an email, tanika@thewhitedressproject.org. Would be love to hear you know, what organization and how you'd like us to organize. But yes, we're always willing to spread the message of fibroid awareness and just reproductive health on a whole. You know, we do a lot with PCOS Challenge and Endo Black and Endo What. So we're really in the space of just below the belt, like what's happening with our reproductive health. We do a lot of work with Black Women's Health Imperative, for colored girls. So just a lot of organizations that we already work with, Uterine Kind. So yeah, please just reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
And last question before we end the program for the night, but the White Dress Project has gone to London. Is there anywhere else outside of the USA where you all may go next? In other words, Canada, somewhere in the Caribbean, West Indies?
Yes. So I'm Jamaican myself. So I'd love to go to Jamaica and do this work, particularly at the University of the West Indies, because they produce a lot of their physicians. So would love to go there. We've been to London, we've been to South Africa, would love to return to those places. We have a large community of supporters in London and also in Canada. So we are excited about going to those places later this year. So once again, just stay in tune, tapped in with us on our social media channels. It's the best way to connect with us and the best way to just stay in touch.
Speaking of that, we do have a list that we can show you right now of where you can connect with the White Dress Project, because you all are everywhere on every platform, and it's really key to stay up to date. And if you go through that chat, you'll see all the participants who were here tonight. You'll see their Instagram handles. I always say follow the doctors, because they're giving you really good, solid, free information on your Instagram. You'll be on it anyway, so you might as well get a little bit of education while you're there. And with that, Tanika, I say we wrap up. Congratulations on a decade of doing the good work, spreading the word, ending the silence, bringing awareness. Hats off to you. If I had a hat off to you. I'm so happy that we connected at the time that we did, and that you've allowed me to be a part of this mission that you created from your heart. It means
Adrianna, we we will never let go of you. You are one of those people who always says yes in a positive way. I don't want to say you say yes to everything in your life, but you, from the moment I met you, you have said yes to me and said yes to our organization. You have so eloquently and so transparently shared your story every single time. And I think it's so important for people to see people in roles like yours share their story. And especially a role where you have, you know, people think one way of you, polished and, you know, doesn't have any problems, perfect family, all the things that people make assumptions about. But sharing your personal story, I think, resonates with our community so much. And that's why we never stray away from you hosting and moderating these things for us, because not only do you do a great job, but there's something about your personal story and you interjecting that every time. So as long as you have us, we will have you, my sister.
Well, then I guess we're tied together forever.
There it is. There it is. I do, but just before we go, we have 4 minutes, Adrianna. I just want to highlight our board members. Nikki, extraordinaire producer. I don't know if you can just highlight our board members so that people know who we are. And Nkem, our director of partnerships. Tadina and Danielle, our communications directors. Derek, I'm not sure if Bronny is here tonight, but Derek is also here, and he was our Blossom Award winner along with his wife Bronny last year, and they were so impressed by the work we were doing. They decided to join. Since Derek and Bronny have been here, they've brought so many partnerships to us. So we're so thrilled to have them. Jonelle, our director of programs, honey, she is the program extraordinaire, okay? Anything you think of in terms of programs, Jonelle and her committee are the ones who it's been their brainchild. Empowerment Experience, AKA Jonelle Henry, okay? Who else do we have? Tennille, I think, is here. I can't see everybody. Nycole is here. Our director of research. Tennille is our director of patient education. So you're going to be seeing a lot roll out on our website this year that patients can literally download from our website and take to the doctor's office with them. So we're really, really excited about that. Who else is here? Dominique, our director of operations, and she's not feeling well, but she is here. So thank you so much, Dominique. Am I missing anyone? So everyone, this is the White Dress Project.
Is Char here?
Is Char here? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the White Dress Project 2024. Not all of our board members are able to join tonight, but I'm so proud of this extraordinary team. We get it done. Like, let's be clear. I have said this year that I am most proud about the fact that we have championed and revolutionized the way people tell stories about their reproductive health. We're taking all the credit because of our authenticity and because of our boldness in sharing our stories. We have encouraged so many other people to do that, and we are so proud of that. And we will continue to do that for another 10. So we look forward to all the celebrations. Adrianna, thank you. Nikki, our producer extraordinaire, thank you so much for being here tonight. Jennifer is also here. Jennifer is doing our social media for us tonight. So thank you so much, Jennifer. Bye, everybody.